Thanks. I'll try to actually keep this pretty quick and sharp. And I should say I come from the investment field, and as a long-time Greece watcher, have talked to a lot of investment professionals about coming and investing in Greece. And so I'll provide some of the feedback that I get when I do that. On the bright side, I think that Greece is undergoing a recovery. The PMI data that came out yesterday was at a record high, suggesting that manufacturing should at least be expanding. Greece is growing. The government forecasts that Greece will grow by 2.5%. Whether it's 2 or 2.5%, though, that's not much for a country that's been through the kind of adjustment that Greece has been through. So if you look at other developing countries, for example, in Latin America, after the contraction that they've had on par with the one that Greece has had, they tend to grow much faster. Economies are a bit like corks. If something isn't holding them underwater, they tend to float. And so Greece's economy is starting to float to the top, but you're not getting the huge boost in growth that you would expect given the depression that you all know Greece has been through. Also, just looking at the current account balance, again, Greece is finally in current account surplus, but given the adjustment Greece has gone through, given the absolute collapse of domestic demand, you should have a massive current account surplus at this point. And just looking at those two data points, I think investors, foreign investors are concerned that actually there's still a competitiveness issue in Greece, even though Greece has been through this massive adjustment, and even though the whole point of the bailout program was for Greece to gain competitiveness, I think there's still a lot that needs to be done there. And so for a lot of investors, I think the concern is that the risk reward in Greece just isn't quite worth it yet, just looking at those back of the envelope calculations. Additionally, I think that there's an issue in Greece with strength of institutions. Greek institutions are incredibly weak, but for foreign investors, I think it's the judiciary that's a major concern. And you know, sitting abroad, we see headlines about cases against Andreas Georgiou, for example. It's an absolute disgrace from abroad. And so, I think foreign investors are wary of investing in a country with such incredibly weak institutions, particularly where if there were an issue, it's unclear how long it would take for that issue to be adjudicated or whether a foreigner would be treated the same as a domestic company. And so I think that might keep foreign investment away as well. And then finally, there's the issue of the bailout exit. So it's great that Greece is going to exit its bailout. It seems the government is intent on having a clean exit. And from a foreign perspective, this doesn't make much sense, actually. There's not much cost to actually getting a precautionary credit line. Even if Greece doesn't need it, at least it would give investors some confidence that Greece will be okay. From looking longer term from a debt sustainability perspective, right now there isn't much privately held debt, Greek debt. And so there isn't much chance that you'll have a bail-in of any sort because there'd be no point if it were for private sector debt holders. But over the next couple of years, as Greece is issuing in the markets, private sectors are getting involved, that share of debt that's held by the private sector gets higher and higher. If further down the line Greece continues to have an unsustainable debt burden, then actually those private sector creditors might be bailed in. And so that's a concern that I think investors will look at. And also, if Greece leaves without a precautionary credit line, then it won't have access to the ECB's quantitative easing program. Now, you might say, so what? The quantitative easing program is ending probably in September, if not, then in December of this year. So who cares? Greece won't benefit from it then. But that's not actually true because the ECB will continue to reinvest bonds that are rolling off. And we're not totally clear what the rules for that are just yet. But actually, a lot of those bonds are supranational bonds, and it seems likely that as the ECB is reinvesting the bonds that it holds, it can rebalance some of those bonds towards Greece if Greece does have a precautionary credit line. And that could benefit Greece pretty significantly and could help attract some foreign investors. So if there is no backstop for Greece, I think that could be a concern for foreign investors as well. So there, a lot of the news is good. The question is it good enough? Does it really... does it justify a risk reward? I think a lot of investors right now are thinking it might not even so, and so there's work to be done. I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ, κυρία Greene. Μιλήσατε και για ζήτημα ανταγωνιστικότητας που υπάρχει ακόμα και σήμερα στην Ελλάδα, αλλά και για αδύναμους θεσμούς. Πρόκειται για δομικές μεταρρυθμίσεις, αλλαγές που επιχειρήσαμε μαζί με τους θεσμούς να αλλάξουμε κατά την οκταετή πορεία μας μέσα στην μνημονιακή περίοδο της χώρας. Το γεγονός ότι ακόμα και σήμερα οι επενδυτές τα επισημαίνουν σημαίνει ότι έχουμε αποτύχει, σημαίνει ότι δεν κάναμε αυτό που πρέπει ή δεν κάναμε αυτό που θέλατε ή δεν είναι αρκετό για σας. Τι ακόμα απομένει για να μπορέσουμε να δούμε μια θετική άποψη από τους επενδυτές?
The English didn't kick in for a while there. I was wondering if you were even talking to me. No, I got it. The question is whether Greece has done its job or what more needs to be done. Or Greece has no doubt undergone a huge adjustment and a huge economic adjustment. But there is more to be done in terms of opening up labor markets, opening up product markets. But, you know, I think the institutions piece is a key one. I think there is still an institutional crisis in Greece, and it reaches wide and far. But for foreign investors, it's the judiciary that's the real concern, and the headlines that we're seeing abroad aren't favorable to Greece.
Are you talking about justice?
Yeah. That's right. So if there is a case for a foreign firm in a Greek court, it might take a long time to be adjudicated. It's difficult and full of bureaucracy. Foreign companies might not be treated the same way, or their concerns at least. And that, you know, I think that makes Greece a less attractive investment opportunity for foreign companies.